Right. Welcome, everyone. This is our July session for Columbus Sitecore user group. Um, we have Rashmy today. Rashmy Patwari. She presented in this user group before too. Thanks, Rashmy, for presenting today. And she is She is the Sitecore MVP, and I'll hand over to her, and she can talk about herself and the topic she's presenting today. Thanks, Rashmi.
You're welcome. And yeah, it's been my pleasure. Last time I was here as well, last year around the same time, I suppose that was about Sitecore Connect. I'm not sure if anybody uses that, but this time, so I've been working with a client in the last, it's an energy utility client since the beginning of this year. And primarily we've been using Sitecore XM Cloud. And then this client had asked for enabling embedded personalization on XM Cloud, as well as some interactive experiences. So they are an energy utility company, and that was some use cases over there. In the process, I've had the opportunity to learn a lot about this product. Earlier, most of my experience has been POCs and pretty much doing what's documented, but this was my opportunity to learn something pretty much the undocumented version of Sitecore Personalize, specifically using Sitecore Personalized Conditions. And so this presentation, I want to kind of talk through all of that. I believe you've had an earlier presentation from my colleague Amit on embedded personalization of XM Cloud. So although my presentation has a bit of that as well, what comes out of box as conditions, and then how and what are the caveats of building custom conditions. So I try to kind of go through those slides a bit faster rather than just giving the repetitive content out there. So with that, let's get started. So here's the agenda for this presentation today. We'll talk a bit about Sitecore Personalize as a product as a whole, and then go into real depth of a particular, mostly like like an asset or a feature of Sitecore Personalize, which is conditions itself. So then we'll not really talk a lot about XM Cloud embedded personalization, like I said, because I believe you already had that covered very well. We'll look at a demo where I enable an out-of-box personalization and then custom personalization. Some best practices, how you could do this for a client, because that's been our experience. What are the timelines that you're looking at, and if you have any questions after that. So with that, let's get into it. Okay. So Sitecore Personalize, we all know it's been there since pretty much the time that Sitecore acquired Boxever. This is primarily one of the first SaaS products from the Sitecore portfolio, and after that, there are several others, and now we have a huge portfolio of Sitecore SaaS products. So incidentally, I remember that all of these were kind of launched, I think, almost like 5 years back now, a couple of symposiums back. So what does it mean, right? Like, what is personalization itself? We all know what is personalization. We've implemented it for our clients. It was always there in the XP, marketing automation, EXM, and experience forms times as well. But with the SaaS Personalize, it gives us an ability to do it more efficiently, faster, and pretty much in an isolated, independent manner. It puts more power into the marketeers themselves. So a lot of features are within the user role. They don't require developers to enable them. A lot of out-of-box features are available. But then there are a lot of features which, if you have a vendor, partner, or a developer in-house, then you can enable them pretty easily as well. So why does it matter, right? Like why do we need to personalize? We need to personalize because we want to establish that connection with your audience and give them meaningful experiences. Otherwise, it's like ground zero would be same experience for all. Whoever logs in, be it a customer or a visitor or anyone, will see the same hello message. But the moment you start kind of connecting and using the data that your customer is willingly, would have been engaging with your product, when you start using that data and give them meaningful experiences, that's when the engagement boosts, and then and the customer also feels more like kind of more like recognized by by your product or your company for that matter. So a real example, again, I took it from my recent experience. So basically, if you're an EV owner, you want to see like green plants. You don't want to see something which is like just out there. Say, for instance, you're dealing with an insurance. If you're an insurance company, you've got like hundreds of plans in your portfolio, and you want to just show the right ones out, right? Like I log in based on the history that I've got with the product. We want to see the relevant experiences. So that's pretty much what Personalize can offer and what you can enable in a nutshell. So moving on about the products themselves. So I'll talk only about the SaaS products. Yeah, we all know that in the XP world, we do have the marketing automation, EXM, and the other features and the products available. But coming to the SaaS side of things, we've got CDP, Personalize, or both. So when I say CDP, what is CDP? CDP would be basically, think of it like an engine, like a data engine. So you are connected. So you basically create a profile for the customer, ingesting data from various sources in your infrastructure, and or basically the customer's domain, and then you create a profile for the customer with just the relevant data. You don't want to like pretty much create a bloated profile. You want to create the right profile to power those experiences, what we just spoke in the previous slide. And in order to do that, you would certainly need, so it's not just like you collect all the data and then what, right? Like, so you need a way to put that data out as meaningful experiences. That's when you need Sitecore Personalize. What if you have either one of the two? You can have, because that's why Sitecore created them. Earlier it was one product, Booksever, then they split them into two products. This is basically because it gives customers more flexibility to do one or the other. Like, if you already have other platforms to do the experiences, then you could just use CDP for doing the data or customer profile part of things, or the other way around. Like, if you already have other products to give you the customer profile, then you can use only Sitecore Personalized to do the experiences side. So engine and steering wheel kind of an analogy over here. Can I have only Personalized without any other CDP backends in the customer thing? Yes, certainly. But then that's fundamentally because it's again, Sitecore Personalize itself has a very lean, mean, lightweight CDP as part of the product. So it stores minimal data. It's not like a 360 profile, but it does have, it can store like some amount of customer data within it. So just that alone can be a useful add-on depending on the use cases. Okay, so it's a big product. It's got a lot of features. There are experiences, experiments. Then there is decision models. The offers and library of offers and templates, and there's just a lot of features to the product. Today's session, let's just deep dive into conditions itself, because what we have seen is with the recent experience that, so basically conditions seems to be like more like a foundational element of personalization, and the core functions can be, so it plays an important, it can be really used effectively in various scenarios when it comes to personalization. So main one, which we have probably already seen, is filtering of audiences. So this is again part of the box. So when we start building embedded experiences using XM Cloud, then this is conditions can be used to filter out the audience. Like, okay, I have this page, but I want to only show it to say this page should be visible only, or some parts of this page should be visible to only certain audience. So just to filter out that part, then we can use conditions. We can use conditions for real-time decision making. You can use it as part of decision models. You can also use it based on certain visitor actions. Again, all of this, so the one can be, so all of these are again, Sitecore is offering as part of the embedded personalization for XM Cloud. But the last one over there is the experience gating. Is basically you can use conditions as part of the personalized product. So when we create these web and interactive experiences, right? So we can use conditions to kind of put gate checks over there, like who all should this experience be served to. So not exclusively page targeting, but also the same way as we do in XM Cloud experiences, we set audiences. Similarly, you can do it on the personalized product in real experiences. So that's those are the core functions. And we have different types, two different types out of there are out of box ones, a bunch of them that is provided as part of the package, and then we can create a lot more custom conditions. Uh, how do we go about doing that? Again, depending on the use cases, but typically we start with we can check. There are about 8 of them out of box, so we can check whether any of them solve our purpose. If not, then we can either extend the out of box ones to add on more, to customize them. That's possible, or we can even use them both strategically. Like we can have an audience filtering done by using some out of box and some custom conditions. Okay. I'll not really touch base on a lot of these out of box ones. So there are different categories of them, and then they are. But what I want to touch base on is basically, there's this concept of edge compatible ones and non-edge compatible. You'll see a big chart in the documentation which kind of talks about edge compatible and non-edge compatible. The reason is so basically is just it's marked that way, so that we need to understand that not all these are available on the edge. On the edge, as in like closer to the customer's request. So edge compatible ones are basically they are processed at the edge, which is relying on immediate customer data. So they're like blazingly fast. So that's the difference. So for instance, device type, it can be available from the user agent header, operating system again, from the user agent. But then there are some non-edge compatible ones that is which requires some more processing, maybe more storage, and maybe a connection with the backend CDP to kind of get more insight into the condition, just the condition logic. So those ones could be from the out of box report. I mean, the collection, time of day, month, the kind of things where it requires a little bit of calculation, and we need to know based on just the visitor's locale, and that is not available on the edge. So that's the difference. So yeah, I'll just skip through these slides. So yeah, some more information about edge processing. So why is it like important to consider these conditions? Is basically, it is data is processed near the user, so that means it is faster. There are some requirements in terms of which JSS version you're using for the app, and they must be so basically they need the site. We cannot use Engage SDK. We need to use the Sitecore Cloud SDK to establish that connection to your personalized middleware. And they're basically you need JSS Next.js version, a higher version of it. Again, they are basically just to maximize on performance. We cannot mix them. edge and non-edge conditions. So that's one of the the restrictions or the caveats. And so basically, but we can mix both types, as in like same type. So you can use like two edge conditions together or two non-edge conditions, but you cannot do a mix and match of them. So that's some more understanding on that. All right. So what is the again, when you want to use multiple conditions, we can use all the combinations like and or logic. They could be, we can group conditions. But then they will be evaluated groups first. And then there are the next slide talks about the evaluation, criteria or the order. Yep. So first, basically, whatever matches first. So, like, if you recall, when we do the decision model rules, so we have those hit policies, right? Like in that. So this would be mostly like there's just one hit policy. Whatever is the first hit wins thing over here in the evaluation logic. Okay. Right. So let's talk a little more. A bit more on the custom conditions itself. So again, who can create custom conditions? All the basically all the portal administrators and owners. Users can basically users of Personalize can only view things. So you cannot really create anything new. But if I'm given user access to any Personalized portal, then I can basically see what all is available as assets over there. But I cannot even test or build anything over there. So that's the user access, just view only, and then admin and owner, of course, can create everything in the end, basically full access and management. What is the workflow for creating a custom condition? So it's typically like you go to the developer center, there is a conditions tab there. So you create, you code it. There are some there are a lot of limitations as to how you need to code those conditions. I'll be covering that in the next few slides. And so basically, you will give it accepts some parameters as well, and all the parameter types are over here. I would say the best place to start would be to start looking at all the. So we have the code for the out of box ones available, so we can actually start. You can look at what is coded in there, and then you can basically clone it and tweak it to your requirements, or basically change however you would like. But those give a good starting point to start, so that we don't. It's not like you cannot put anything in there, but basically it is. There are some limitations as to what kind of. So it needs to be E5 compatible, ES5 compatible, and there are some other caveats to it. So that's the reason I would recommend start cloning, and then so that you get a fair idea of what can go as the code logic for a custom condition. Again, best thing is there is a code assistant available depending on what it's there pretty much with limited capability. But if you have a full stream, this one purchase, then you get more from the code assistant. But there's a code assistant now, so you can use that to create. You can just it's an agentic AI, so you can give it a prompt and it can do that, create a custom condition for you. I've tried it. It's pretty decent. It can validate what you have written as well. But I mean, at least in some of our use cases, of course, we had to. They were pretty complicated, so we had to tweak them. We kind of write much more. Again, so that's the configuration. The first line on the top, so we can use that's using enumeration, to specify what kind of device type, and then there is a Boolean value over there as well, that it is that particular enumeration needs to be provided. So that's the parameter configuration. We can use descriptive phrases, just as you see in the embedded one, right? Like if the visit is from this region, do this kind of thing. So we can use a user-friendly thing. But it's good to use those, because that will give us whoever is using the condition eventually in the different places like experience gating or as embedded XM Cloud embedded, then they'll have a bit more context to how a particular condition can be used. Other than otherwise, it's just a name. We can also add tags to it so that when you look at them, it's easy to find. Eventually, if you run into like hundreds of conditions, it's hard to find them from the list. So we can use tagging to differentiate the use case over there. What else? We still cannot copy them. So yeah, that's a big limitation right now from the product. Like assume you have different environments like staging, non-prod. We cannot copy conditions between environments. You cannot say copy to tenant. It's available for some of the features of personalized, but it's still a big gap in the product wherein we don't have either serialization or like between moving assets between environments is still a pretty manual activity. So that's we learned it a very hard way. That part. Then, all right. So let's see. What we have. I'll stop this presentation, or I'll just share my screen. Okay, so before we go there, actually, let me talk through some of the things, what is being demoed. All right. So what we are doing, so yeah, this just some more to it. How do we use a condition? So basically, again, the one place would be the XM Cloud um, personalize portal itself, wherein you can basically choose out of box or custom conditions, and then provide value and like apply it to certain experience. So these are the different places that we can use. I think I've already spoken about this, so I'll just move on. Some of the restrictions, constraints that we've got is we can only have like 5 conditions per experience or experiment in the personalized portal, and about 8 variants in the XM Cloud one. So you cannot, like, if you have more variants, then you will have to go. You cannot use it's we can't do embedded personalization. You will have to go interactive in that case. Okay. So here, this is basically what is happening under the hood. So between your app and the personalized, so it's like a 3 some steps are involved, wherein by the time it kind of establishes that connection with the personalized middleware or the personalized product, and it can start giving out those like rendering those experiences out. So basically, there's the Bootstrap component, and it initializes the Sitecore Cloud SDK. I'm actually leading through these steps because the one of the conditions that I'm going to demonstrate today, it's basically so I've customized the query stream, the query parameters, and based on the query parameters, it can render different experiences. So this was a real life need on the project, and we burnt our fingers, implementing this. That's because although it seems like pretty simple, we ran into some of the limitations, and we'll discuss this after the demo. So the reason is, like, it's good to understand this whole flow, so that we understand. So, and what we had to eventually do was, so basically we had to extend the middleware to support the query parameters. It's not really available out of the box. So we have the first step. 2 steps are basically the initialization. Like I said, like, we do the cloud SDK initialization, and then then the cloud SDK establish a connection to the edge platform. That's where all our like we have our items layouts, and then along with the layout, we will have the experiences also available. They will be published out to edge. And every time the app makes a page request, so it will actually look on the edge, what kind of experiences are available, and then it applies the condition to choose the right experience based on the audience, and then it will give you that experience. So that's the process. But this is basically the initialization part. The execution flow, I don't know how clear this is to you, but let's start from, it's basically the flow is from bottom to top over here. So there's the user accesses your app and hence a page. And then from that point, basically it is going into like I said, it'll query the edge for the page. It'll get back the available variants. But in order to use the variant, then it will refer to the condition that is applied on the page as part of the personalization. What we do is setting the audience in XM Cloud, and that's how it. And when the condition evaluates, and the audience is okay, the audience is required to see variant between variant A and B. The audience should see variant A, then that page is eventually rendered. So that's the flow, basically the execution flow. Okay, before I go to the real world examples, let me show you what we have to be seen here today. Okay, so let's go. I have from my I had like several. Okay, so that's your. So that's the basic, nothing great over here. It's your starter kit app, what we've all seen. And then, so I'm showing query-based personalization over here. So you'll see I do UTM campaign is equal to digital. Again, this is the out-of-box one. There is UTM campaign available. Basically, all UTM values available. There's content campaign and some others, sub 5 of them. And then you can use those. So this is the out-of-box one. But so this query string, passing parameters as part of the query string is the custom one. So how, the way we build this is basically we had to extend the middleware to, kind of pass this query string as part of the to personalize, to evaluate that condition. Why we had to do that, we will cover in the next few slides. Any questions up until this point? I really rattled a lot of context and talk. Just wanted to do a quick gauge check.
Yeah, doing great. Actually, this is a lot of information. I don't have any question. Anyone has any question? Thanks. Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'll stop sharing here. So that's pretty much for the experience side of things. Let me go back to the presentation. Okay. Right. So what can we use this for, right? Like, so some real world implementation examples. So that was like a very basic demo, but just the way that we had to write a custom condition to get those query parameters in for personalization. So that's, although that was a very basic example for some of the real clients that we have used. So this was pretty effective in the sense, especially for portals wherein we had, data coming in from other services and as query string parameters, and we had to personalize based on that. So that was pretty handy to be used just to develop that custom condition. So some real world examples would be, again, these are all pretty much out of box ones. We can really do a lot with the 8 conditions that are available out of box. And so moving on, let's look at some of the best practices and what we have learned in the process of custom conditions. So over here, so basically, again, these are some of the best practices. So the code structure, right? So the code structure. So try to kind of write it in such a way that it just doesn't. Suppose you have an array of say 100 elements or maybe a million. So just try to return immediately as soon as you're done with the condition, so that the faster you evaluate a condition, the faster your variant. I mean, you would not end up into timeouts or the evaluation bottlenecks wherein the customer is just waiting and there's nothing is just showing up on the screen. So that's one of the things. Again, local variables. We got to have like unique prefixes. So all of these are like the best practices. I think I can leave a PDF of this presentation, just for future reference, because most of it can be used like developer guides rather than talking through it in the presentation. Again, organization, best, other good architectural patterns are also pretty useful over here. So minimize the dependencies. So really there is no caching or having storing storage or so they're pretty atomic in the way that they execute. So although some of the out of box ones use like for instance UTM content, or they refer to the guest sessions and parameters, the request parameters, but that's the broken piece. So basically, we have a Sitecore ticket created for it right now, and we are actually, so it's not going to be fixed soon. So hoping in the next release of Personalize or XM Cloud, we should have a resolution for that. So the issue is that there are some timeout issues between the time that the event is available in Personalize, and say for instance for this very use case of ours, right? Like we started off using the guest sessions before, and but we would never see the experience on the first load. So only when you reload the page, that's when we saw the experience. So that was primarily because there was some timing issue between the time the page hits the Personalize and the time the event hits Personalize. And so we can have issues like that. So watch out for those. We will have to do something of a workaround if you run into such issues. If you really want like really real time experience, then there is some work to do. It's really not available as yet unless Sitecore fixes those latency or those timing issues, especially between the products here. So again, again, all of these are problematic patterns. What just like if very simple basic JavaScript will work very well, but anything complex like in the problematic areas what I mentioned over there, like map sets, sorting also is a problem, filtering is not possible. So don't avoid complex JavaScript. So keep it really simple. We can the complexity is fine. There's no as long as you are really returning fast from the code. But I believe that's like the case for everything in Personalized, like everything, like even if you write decision model logic or the programmables, in this case the conditions everywhere, I think that's pretty much the mantra, that you cannot go super complex in your script. Again, managing conditions, yeah, I mean basic stuff over here. Again, it's already the app does the job of able. Yeah, Himadri, you had a question.
Yes, I thought that this is probably the right place to ask. I guess like condition evaluating condition is like you want to keep it simple. But in my experience, like what fetching data to actually evaluating your condition is it takes time, right? I mean, um, so how if you have experience in your project, like how you actually deal with that, because in our project, in the decision table and places like that, you have to make API call and
Yeah,
basically you have to evaluate your condition, right? Condition operators are just a small part, but then you have to evaluate the data. So did you
that's correct.
face that
Yeah,
sort of
certainly.
issue?
Yeah, certainly. That's the timing thing what I was talking about. So between the time that we our condition was evaluated, with the data was already, say for instance, even if you look at the UTM campaign, I think I can show you that. So okay, I'll show that on the portal. The UTM campaign code. But yeah, to your point, yes, it does take time to do querying the data, querying other data sources, and doing learning that conditional logic in real life. So one good what I discovered was, so we have this so try to go interactive experiences. So embedded experiences are very limited in the sense, like don't build a lot of complex. So for all those simple use cases, it's fine. But if you have any such user scenario where you need to query external systems for data, then interactive experience is the way to go. And even then, instead of querying it back from the personalized product while doing the condition evaluation or the while doing the decision model, do try to see ways wherein you can extend the personalized parameters itself. So you're calling the personalized method, right? Like for an interactive experience, then pass the extension data there. So whatever you
Hmm.
need personalized to use, just pass it as the query, the extension data for the personalized object or the query call. So that is working very well for us rather than be querying the back. In fact, right now I have a big use case to troubleshoot just in the same, on the same lines what you just described, wherein a lot of, so the team has actually implemented in such a way that a lot of calls are happening from personalize back to the
Hmm.
CMS to get some more fields and data. So all that is not working. The moment you
Yeah.
cross that 500 micros MS timeline, that's it. You're done. I mean, that experience is no longer any of any
Yeah.
use. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. So I'll let you talk it and just let me add something. So what we found, like, we are in a food restaurant project. So based on time, they want to show different promotion content, right? If you are coming in the morning, you want to see breakfast. If you are in the like evening in the afternoon, maybe you see lunch item in the promotion. But then they ask, like they have other things, like I can put a promotion, but maybe that particular dish is out of stock, like not in inventory. If in the restaurant industry, it's called 86, like they cannot. So to know, like if it is in the inventory or not, you have to go to another system and find
And
out,
go
like so when we were working on that, we actually recommended, like don't don't do this, because then you will see, like latency and things like that.
Yep.
Let me just put the promotion there based on the time. But if it is not, most of the time it will be like available,
Mm-hmm.
but there could be 5% time it might happen in some location it is not available. It's okay. I mean, basically user will
Yep.
go and see that that particular is sold out.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you have to weigh in and see, like I want to personalize to that level, or I stop here, right? Because it's just the experience is not good. Sorry,
Yeah, that's
Ketan,
true. I
go
know
ahead.
wrong experience is not that certainly favorable. I mean, you don't have any experience, that's fine, but yeah, you can't do like erroneous ones. Yeah, I
Yeah, so
understand.
I think it's just what I'm talking about as an architect. What do you recommend? Like, you have to be very selective or careful, like, what you are trying to build, right? And you can build a very complex system, then the experience can become very
Yeah,
um, bad. Sorry,
that's
Ketan,
true.
go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the comments. One thing I was looking for is like in the use case, Rashmi, that you were mentioning, were you using CDP for like Sitecore CDP for user data or some other tool? Why I'm asking is like, does it matter? Like if we use Sitecore CDP, is it much more faster in terms of latency if we need to fetch any user information versus, let's say, a third party tool?
No, Ketan, nothing of that sort. As in, like, although Sitecore would want us to do that, as in, like, use
Yeah, yeah.
CDP and personalize and maybe other products of Sitecore. But in our, we've had several, like clients wherein we have, I mean, they have their own organization preferred CDP. So
Hmm.
they don't want to add on, Sitecore CDP on top of it. So that way we have not seen any latency if the products are like top of the class products. They have been performant. The only
Okay.
problem with CD with personalized as such, not exactly problem at least, but that's probably the one of the features that we should be aware of is the events themselves. So from external systems, right? So we cannot to get that real time events. There needs to be some customization. So because it stores, we are limited by that 50 MB of space for storing the customer profile in Personalize itself. So if your profile is very bloated, more than 50 MB, and then you have
Uh-huh.
to do real time back and forth of some other fields or data points to make those decision model run, then that's when so but service calls have been pretty decent, as in like if you're querying other data systems, just even like even I mean the basic ones, even the REST API calls and all, they're pretty decent, so that's possible. So
Okay.
there are
So that's good.
I believe, yeah. So that's but yeah, there's no I mean the whole it'll break the pattern, right? Like if you insist on using just Sitecore branded SaaS products, then that will break the purpose. So it does give the flexibility, but yeah. But if you do both, then that's when you break that limitation of the customer profile uh, limited to that 50 MB of space.
Got it. Yeah. But there's no impact on latency. It's just the profile size that we have flexibility with.
Yeah.
Latency is no impact. Right?
That's right. Again, the other best practices, even Sitecore has documented that, keep the decision model simple. If it involves like not have too many inputs and outputs on a certain table, rather you can have like multiple tables in the decision model if required, or things like that. So, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty tricky product to work with. Although, yeah, there's a lot of scope for us as architects to evolve this further.
Thanks. All right, thank you so much.
Okay. All right. So what else have we got? Yeah, here's about the limitations. Here's what we've noticed. Timeout errors are very common because we had like loaded pages for some of our clients, especially the home page. Personalization is a big deal. If you got like more than five add a accordion, carousel, hero, whatnot, and then the page takes anywhere between depends on the region, of course, but otherwise you cross that 1,000 millisecond limit, then you run into a timeout. So then you'll see those errors in the logs. So better to kind of tweak these timeout values. The second, I mean the personalized So the timeouts can happen in both the places. If you remember the flow, what I was talking about, either the first part where you're querying edge, if there are any variants, and the second part where you're actually running the personalized middleware to execute that experience. So both places timeouts can happen. Better to kind of set a high value so that you don't run into those. Stale session data is the number one problem that we had, wherein by the time our condition hit personalize and actually looked at the guest session. I mean, you are in that session, right? That session has never reached personalize. So when you're looking at the sessions top to bottom or bottom to top, whichever order, your current session is not in the list at all. That got into the list only after the page got loaded. So which was like too late for our condition, and our condition would never evaluate. The experience never showed up. So that was the problem that we had. The workaround for that, we have a ticket created with Sitecore. It's still pending, but the workaround what we did was basically, like I was explaining before, you extend that query data of the personalized middleware, and you send what you need to send, so that the request, in our case it was a request params, that key value pair had to go before the condition got evaluated, so in that fetch state itself. So that's how we work that problem around. Otherwise, when it comes to XM Cloud embedded, like I said, use it for very simple use cases where you have just 8 variants at the max. Again, it's the trickiness is in the I mean, all the 8 variants need to speak the same condition. Like I can say, if take for instance, if the region is Texas, or the region is Mass, or the region is Columbus, so they're like similar nature, right? Like the conditions. I cannot say if the region is Texas and then the second variant says time of the day is something. It doesn't work. So it has to be because it doesn't. So anything can get picked up. Whatever hits first. So that's the thing. If you want a certain page to be loaded, certain parts of the page to be loaded for one condition and certain parts for the other, we cannot mix them in the XM Cloud embedded. So that was the other limitation. Again, XM Cloud personalization is very, page level only, and we do not have. If you want this component to do the same thing, to show the personalization effect on all the pages that the component is on, then we'll have to go interactive. So those were the limitations. Troubleshooting, again, common issues would be just to make sure that you're not breaking those edge compatibility rules. Logical things, what I just spoke about, wherein you keep the like conditions together. That's the one. Again, complex conditions tend to slow down the page loading, so we will have to either play around with the timeout values, or we'll have to even break down the condition evaluation, and kind of move certain parts to the head app, or it requires a little bit of tweaking that way. And the last one is, again, I've kept it there for the marketeers. It's not very intuitive to develop, to work with. It's intuitive in the sense, without having a developer on the team, it's not that easy. So, although I know things might change with now that there is code assistant, and then there is Sitecore AI is also coming up. So I believe things will certainly change. But as of today, you will certainly need a developer. I don't think you can really build any of this without having developers on the team. Again, just a fair idea, how long does it take to build all of this? Anything out of box? Yeah, you can quickly enable it, but that's really, really simple stuff. But then anything which requires more data, more, complexity in terms of, like, we thought our query parameter case was very simple. So we estimated it pretty much like 4 weeks, but it didn't work that way. So because of all the other limitations in terms of session staleness and the timeouts and stuff like that. So yeah, this is pretty much the timeline. So I think when we show this to our customers as well, I mean, when we estimate it, we will have to keep this in mind that, wherever we are involving any amount of customization or more data points, then we will have to kind of estimate it accordingly. So, but yeah, no surprise, even if it is a 1 year project. So it's not meant to be, it's not all that simple. So that's pretty much what I had for today. Resources, yeah, I mean, I didn't find a lot, but I found that article very useful when we were building. That is about from Anna. Uh, so she's written from Bike Minds, right? Like, so you'll find it in Google. I mean, the moment you start. Then there's one. Yeah, I forget the name. So yeah, but this one I found it really useful. But otherwise, the documentation is decent. It's just all over the place. So there are some elements in Next.js, Cloud SDK is altogether different documentation. So just kind of threading them together is a bit tricky when we started off. But yeah, this is what we have. Any questions? Yeah, Kiran.
First of all, thank you, Rashmy, for taking us through this journey of XM and personalization. Thanks. It is very informative. I have two questions. One I missed the chance to ask at that point, but that is around the edge conditioning, which you mentioned, which executes near user. If you can just briefly tell, like, when we say it executes near user, what does that mean? Is it execute on the client side, or is there a real-time AJAX calls? I mean, I don't know, but so that's first
Yeah.
question.
So yeah, I mean, basically, so I mean, the way I understand it is like the pages are the pages that are all the content that is on edge, right? So basically, if you're hosting it on the Vercel, so it's being executed over there. So the app at the app stage, and it is basically user context data wherever it is available. So it could be on the client side, and it could be on the edge itself. So where you query for so that your layout and item are available over there. So, but again, that is true for SSG pages. For SSR, if there is any server-side computing, then that is no longer edge. It's not in the edge. It doesn't fall in the edge compatible scenario. So
Okay.
yeah. So and the example would be like I said, it is very easy to find out your device type, right? But it's not as easy to find out what time of day it is for your user, because then you're going one step forward and trying to find out the locale, and then the locale specific information. So that takes so that won't be a edge compatible condition.
Correct. Yeah. Thanks. The second question is around Sitecore AI. I know this is the conditions we are talking about, and we are trying to make it as personalized as possible so we can serve. So how Sitecore is going in that direction using AI, because that will benefit a lot in this context.
No idea because it's just yeah, I believe it is available as of this week. I got a message saying that it is available, so you can download a demo which is valid for like 14 days. I think I might find that somewhere. I had a link to that.
Sitecore.ai.
Yeah, Sitecore AI demo is available for you can use it for. Yeah, for free, basically. This is what I found.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll just put it out in the chat here. But yeah, it's yeah, try it out. I was planning to do the same. I haven't put my hand on that yet.
All right, we are on the top of the hour.
I think I put the hour wrong. Maybe I got the, yeah, this is the official URL for that. Okay.
Yeah. Right. All right. If there is no other question, Rashmi, thank you again for
Thank you.
very informative presentation. Personalize is always challenging. Personalize any personalization project I was involved is just there are a lot of confusion. So
Yeah,
thanks
that's true.
for
Yeah.
the information.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you hosting and giving this. It's always. I know we need to take this time to share whatever we learn, but I know it's not easy for you to organize and make people kind of benefit from this. But yeah, thank you for doing all of this.
We are
Hopefully.
good. We are
Thank you so much.
always welcoming people to come and talk in our user group. So,
That's
all
fine.
right. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye.
All right. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Hi,
Nice
everyone.
catching up. Bye.
Thank you.